we're going to do some Mapping Monday, but before we do that, let's make sure that we are changing our passport and unit page to be due. Making sure that they're due the day before we test. We are going to test on Wednesday coming up. And so this will be due the day before. We'll have time to work on it in class if you're in class. If you're at home, you're going to want to work on it. Obviously, if you're in class, you'll be able to get stamps. If you're at home, you won't be able to get stamps. So it's not a problem. But you do want to make sure that you finish it. All right, so I'm going to go to my next blank page. Here we go. I'm going. Keep going. All right, so here's my next blank page. I'm going to go on to this blank side because on mine you can see through it and I don't like it. All right, so I'm going to go to my next blank page. Since I'm doing my mapping, I'm going to turn myself sideways, just like this. So that gives me a lot more room to draw that map. I'm going to go ahead so my page doesn't fall down on you guys as I draw. And put my little binder clip right there. All right. Here we go. So pay attention as we draw, especially pay attention to the words that I use, because those words that I use and those questions that I ask are what become important as you learn, and especially when we take our common assessment on Wednesday. This right here is our best way to review. So we draw our eye, our nose, and our chin right there. When I say I, I'm talking about the area that is always watching the colonies, and that is, of course, going to be England. England is a part of what continent? It is Europe. Inside Europe, there are two countries that are nosy about what's going on. They are Spain and France. And, of course, holding up our economy is going to be the continent of Africa. If we remember, 1492, Columbus sails the ocean blue. Where is he trying to go? Well, he wants to get himself to Asia, right here. And when he goes to Asia, we think about that purse that he's taking, and that purse that he's taking is, of course, let me try to move this up just a little bit, level you out a little bit better, is going to be economic. He's looking for gold, silks, and spices, ways to get rich. Does he land in Asia? The answer is no. Of course, he lands in the New World, which reminds me, I need to go ahead and label this area the Old World. All right, so he lands in the New World. We're going to go ahead and draw our United States, which we are not drawing it to scale. We're making it bigger so that we can label inside of it. So here we go. Across, dip, curve around, come down and up, over, bump. Bump is Texas, over, up. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we had our Old World, and then over here we have our New World. And we start with our geography, making sure that we can label the geographical features. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. He is going across the Atlantic Ocean. The first natural barrier that's going to prevent westward expansion is going to be the Appalachian Mountains. Eventually, getting around the Appalachian Mountains, they decided to go through the Great Lakes. To remember the Great Lakes, what the acronym we have is, of course, going to be HOMES. Lake Huron, Lake Ontario, Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, and Lake Superior. So that reminds us of the names of the Great Lakes. Eventually, we do get over, and the first westward boundary of the United States is going to be right here. It is the Mississippi River, which flows into the Gulf of Mexico. So this is going to be huge for travel, trade, and transportation. You can go up through the port city right there and go up the river right there. All right. Moving westward, our largest mountain range is, of course, going to be the Rocky Mountains. We'll be able to see how those hindered settlers moving west. Manifest Destiny, sea to shining sea, is going from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean right there. All right, so that's our physical geography that we're labeling right now. let's go ahead and start on our historical. Of course, our first historical unit being the explorers. Exploration. First exploration is the Spanish. Right down here in the south and the southwest, the Spanish are going to come. They want the natural resources. They're looking for mineral wealth. They think they're going to find gold, gold, gold. Of course they don't, but they tell everybody they do. We have the political factors that bring them, and then the religious. And we know what religion are they trying to convert natives to? Catholics, Catholicism right there. Our second exploration group is going to go up the Mississippi River. It is going to be the French. The French. And we call them the friendly French fur traders. So they are, of course, economic, and they are going to be political too. Our third group is going to explore the East Coast and eventually settle. Now, because they settle on the East Coast, I'm going to actually write my E out here because I need this area in here to label for my colonies. Their first reason to come is, of course, Jamestown, economic, Plymouth, religious. Then we have political, and I want to have a better life, social. Now, for colonization, so those are our explorers, Spanish, French, English. We're going to move on to colonization, and our colonial group that we talk about is, of course, the English. So we're going to go ahead and add a crown to England right there. We're going to add a crown because that is our father, that is our king, that is our home country. So anybody living in these colonies is, of course, going to be English. All right. So moving on to my colonies to make sure that I can label those, I'm going to start with my first permanent English colony, which is right about here. I'm not exact. It's kind of in the middle. That is going to be none other than Jamestown, Virginia, right there. I'm going to put a J, and then I'm going to give it that economic symbol because Jamestown is founded for gold. Gold, 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 gold. Do they find gold? No. But that's what they wanted. Eventually, they plant tobacco, and that helps people survive. My second permanent English colony is going to be right about there. Not exact, but I do know it's up there in the northeast. It is going to be Plymouth, Massachusetts. My Puritans going to Plymouth. So I have to remind myself that they are religious. These two colonies eventually turn into 13 that are divided into 3 colonial regions. So I'm going to go Plymouth is in the top, Jamestown is in the bottom, and then I have a middle or mid-Atlantic section. Starting about that top, this area is going to be called New England. We have the Old England and now the New England. Anytime I see New England, write New England, have New England, I have to think Puritans. They want to purify the church, and so I draw myself a cross. How do I remember my New England colonies? I tell myself my New Hampshire runs in circles. That gives me Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. All right, inside the New England colonies, we're going to have a very, very, very important city that allows for travel and trade. And that city is going to be none other than Boston, Massachusetts. And so we're going to put a B right there. Boston's going to play a huge, huge, huge role in our next unit. All right, so I have my New England colonies. They're all about the Puritans. They're all about religion. It's cold. They can't farm. They're going to build ships. They're going to cut down lumber. They're going to go fishing in New England. All right, my next area is the middle colonies, which of course we know are the breadbasket, so they are economic. And then if we remember from our museum, they are also a melting pot. Don't forget our Barbie sitting in a pot. They are a melting pot, so they are social, economic, and social. Breadbasket, melting pot, very diverse. How do I remember my middle colonies? I tell myself, New York police need jelly donuts, right there. New York police need jelly donuts. That gives us New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Now, in the middle colonies between these 4, we do have one that is specifically started for religion, and that is It is Pennsylvania, that P right there. It is the Quakers. I'm going to give them a little religious symbol. The Quakers were shaking things up. They're going to found Pennsylvania for religious freedom, toleration. They're pacifists. They don't believe in war. They believe in equality. If you want to come over, come over. We will get along. All right, our next area is our southern colonies. Our southern colonies are the cash crops. They are the plantations. They are where you will find the enslaved people. And so our southern colonies are right there. How do we remember our southern colonies? Well, we tell ourselves, my very nice cousin sends Christmas gifts. Just like that. My very nice cousin sends Christmas gifts. Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And so we know the southern colonies are economic, but there's one that is religious. And it is none other than the colony of Maryland. The Catholics go to Maryland in search of religious freedom. And so they're going to live in Maryland right there. We also can't forget that we have another special colony, which is Georgia. Georgia is all about the debtors and making sure the debtors can get out of debt. And so they're going to build farms. So I put another extra little religious symbol right there. Let me see if I can bring you guys down just a little bit so that you can maybe see my page a little bit closer. I know, I'm moving it. It's so awkward. Miss Allison, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay. A little bit better for you guys? You think so? You think so? We're a little bit closer. Does that look a little bit better? I bet it does. Perfect right there. All right. And so we can see my little bitty economic symbol right there. So my very nice cousin sends Christmas gifts. Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. All right. In the New England colonies, we had Boston. All of these colonies are going to have the ability to trade with England. They want to trade with England. And so in trading with England, we use the Boston as a port city. Ships can come into the harbor. And the middle colonies, they are going to have none other than New York City right there. And in the southern colonies, they have a town called Charleston, South Carolina. So my port cities, Boston, New York City, Charleston. Ships can come in, big ships. They can put their goods on it, their raw materials, their natural resources, and trade it. Now, all three of these are going to be a part of the triangular trade right there, the triangular trade. And so in the triangular trade, we have goods going from the New World to the Old World. Goods like raw materials, natural resources, cash crops. England and Europe, they are going to trade goods down into Africa. These are manufactured goods. So I'm going to put goods. Manufactured goods. The biggest things, of course, being guns, rum. Yes, the alcohol was another big thing that they traded to Africa. And then, of course, coming out of Africa, we all know that this is going to be your enslaved populations. And so this creates for us the triangular trade, which of course grows our plantation system in the South. Does our triangular trade go one way? Nope, it goes both ways. England and Europe also send manufactured goods to the Americas. The Americas send raw materials to Africa, and Africa does have enslaved people sent to England and Europe. So it goes both ways. In this triangular trade, who is making the most money? Well, we know that it is going to be none other than the mother country because of that economic theory of mercantilism. You have to know this. Mother country, mercantilism. England is going to make the most money in this triangular trade. We have colonies in order for England to make money. All right, so this right here, this map is our colonization map. Practice it, study it, make sure you know it.